Welcome everyone to our school board meeting. This is a lovely large crowd. We're happy to have you all here. It is 6:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you are able to stand with us, please do. Thank you very much. Our coworker, Mr. Grimes, is not able to join us today, but we have 6 remaining members, so we do have a quorum. I'll call the meeting to order. Dr. Roberts.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Wilden. We do like to start off each of our meetings by revisiting and affirming our vision, mission, and core values. As a corporation, we look to be the choice to learn, work, and play. Our mission is to develop expert learners by partnering with our community to invest in people. And our 6 core beliefs include: we all can rise to the challenge of high expectations. Learning is most effective when we have choice, flexibility, and see relevance. We thrive when our physical, social, and psychological needs are met. Our community and school district are stronger when we partner with one another. We flourish because of the diversity and variability in our community, and our democracy and democratic institutions are strengthened by civic-minded citizens.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts.
All right. We'll move into some really fun stuff. So we have a big crowd here this evening, and these first 4 or 5 topics, I think, is probably why most people are in the room tonight. So we're going to start off with recognition with our state finalist gymnastics team from Columbus North. I would like to welcome Principal Mr. Clark up to the podium.
First of all, thank you very much for taking the time to recognize. It looks like a full house, lots of recognitions, and a fun night. I think this is one of my funnest nights, school board meetings of the year. We get to see all these things happening. I would like to invite Coach Arthur and Coach Freshour. If you want to come up to the stand and yeah, go ahead and bring the gymnast up. I'm not going to be here long. I'm glad the gymnastics season is over. They've just now quit doing flips in the hallway, so I'm glad that's over. Just kidding. Remarkable young ladies, remarkable team to continue the excellent tradition that we have here with Columbus North High School Gymnastics. With that said, I'm going to turn the microphone over. I would excuse Mr. Lewis, our athletic director. He tonight is at the Northeast softball game, which is taking place right now, so he couldn't be here this evening. But I'll turn the mic over to Coach Arthur and Coach Freshour and let them talk to you a little bit about the success they've had this year.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Dr. Roberts, congratulations on your pending retirement. When you finish up, you need to find a good hobby like gardening or gymnastics coaching, something like that. So.
Maybe I can help out.
Yeah. Just a few shout outs. I've got the school board and David Clark and Dr. Roberts for allowing us to be here to recognize our accomplishment. The Columbus North Athletic Department, Brian Lewis, Bev Addis was wonderful, Jason Perry, the trainers, Chance Newkirk and Kate Cockerham all kept us put together and kept us informed. This is kind of my first time on the administrative level of things, so it was kind of new. And then, of course, Coach Freshour was also tried to keep me in line. She didn't always do it, but she tried. Special shout out to the parents. They were fantastic, incredible, and their families. And then we got some good media coverage from the Republic, Ted Schultz and James Pence, and Sam and Fran Simamaker. Sam's kind of my surrogate mom. I'd go over there after a meet. She'd have a sandwich waiting for me and maybe a little snack. But then last but not least, the 2 coaches that were by my side the entire time. Sandy Freshour, Sandy and I think we've logged up about 85 years together coaching gymnastics, and I'm not embellishing. I actually, and then we were fortunate enough to get Claire Thompson to join us this year. Claire was a former Columbus North gymnast and all-around state champion. So, and as far as the core values he had, we all can rise to the challenge of high expectations. I think our girls really did that this year. We started off really with a fairly low score, but a little over 101, almost a 102, and brought that up to almost a 108. And that's a significant improvement over the season. We went 9-1 in our win-loss dual meet season. We were first in the Connersville Invitational, 15 schools represented, 8 teams. We were runner-up at Conference Indiana and sectional runner-up, and both of those were behind Bloomington North, who also has a very good program. And we appreciate the fact that they are a strong team because that helps us. I was thinking about the Old Davis ad. We're number 2, but we try harder. And that probably, unless you're a child of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you probably don't even know what I'm talking about on that. Fortunately, we really rose to the occasion at the regional gymnastics meet, and we were on top at the regional and walked away with the championship there. And then we were kind of underdogs at the state, but we ended up with a 4th place podium finish at the state meet. And my hats go off to the girls. We started kind of slow on our first event, and those girls, they could have just packed it up and decided to go home, but they dug deep, and finished very, very strong on the last 3 events. We were 8th place after the first rotation and ended up in 4th place at the finals. So that was a very wonderful thing, and my hats go off to the girls, the competitors that competed for us. The team, real quick, we got 2 seniors, Lainey Acton and Neftali Juarez. And Lainey was a event specialist at the state meet. She did both beam and floor for us. Neftali joined us as a senior. She's a little nut, but she was our little floor darling. And did a great job, and she's got a heck of an attitude and kept things positive for us, so we appreciate her joining us. Juniors, Reese Euler. Reese can't be here today. She's got a cheerleading competition coming up down in Orlando, and I think she's really would like to be a collegiate cheerleader, so she's had to get ready, go to that. She actually had a practice tonight. So, and then Arwen, other junior Arwen Tien, who is also an event specialist at the state meet. Arwen, raise your hand, say hello. And Arwen's done a great job for us the past 3 years, and looking forward to seeing more from her. I'm going to really push her harder and all around again this year. So she is a very, very clean gymnast. We've got sophomores, Jaden Greenlee. Jaden's, raise your hand, there we go. Jaden was a JV all-arounder for us. Ellie McIntyre was all-around through most of the years. Ellie, raise your hand, so let them know who you are. She was an event specialist for us at the state meet on vault and bars, and she was one of those kids that dug deep and helped us get into that 4th place finish. All around, Hannah Perry. Hannah was a great, fantastic gymnast for us, did all around. We had to basically get her in a headlock to even come out for our program last year, and she got bit by the bug and has just gone on and done some great things. I think she was 9th all around, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? Yeah, she did great for us. And then we also have Evie Richards. Evie Richards was a JV all-arounder and also a vault specialist for us throughout the season. The unfortunate thing about our season is we compete up to 6 kids in varsity at the beginning of the season. We have to pare that down to 4 at the end of the season. So it makes it tough for the coaches, but we like it when it's tough because that means everybody's digging hard and working hard. If it's too easy of a decision, then that's not so good. Then we also have a little rock star, Emerson Chambers. She did all around for us during the season, and she is a 3 event specialist at the state meet, vault, bars, and floor, correct? Yep. And she's also killing it in track. We had one other freshman with us, Hannah Grau, who's our manager. She could not be here. She's at a softball game, probably the one that Brian's at. But so anyway, that's our team. Thank you for being here. Fresh, do you have anything to add? All right. Boy, that was easy. All right, hopefully I haven't left anybody out, but congratulations, girls. You guys did a fantastic job.
Congratulations.
Good evening. At this time, I would ask for Mr. John Sattler with SIHO and Mrs. Mindy Summers, Central English teacher, to please come forward.
Good evening. I'm John Sattler, President and CEO of SIHO, and I am privileged this evening to recognize Mindy Summers as the 2024 Edna V. Folger Outstanding Teacher. The Folger Award is designed to recognize the impact teachers have both inside and outside the classroom. This award is named for local teaching icon Edna Folger, who invested more than 46 years of her life educating students in Bartholomew County. The Folger Award celebrates dedication to the teaching profession, ability to motivate students and/or staff to reach their full potential, innovation in teaching style and curriculum, the ability to form strong bonds and relationships with students, parents, and peers, and contributions to the community outside of the classroom. The Folger Award is sponsored by SIHO, the IU Columbus Center for Teaching and Learning, the Community Education Coalition, and the Columbus Area Chamber of Commerce. Like all previous Folger winners, Mindy is a dedicated and talented educator who goes above and beyond. Her nominators cite that she possesses the true essence of a teacher, passionately dedicated to the profession, making a difference in the lives of her students, and squarely committed to making all those around her a better version of themselves. Mindy meets her students where they are, designing a safe, rigorous learning environment with attainable expectations, helping students become expert learners by encouraging them to track evidence of their academic growth over time. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating the 2024 Edna Folger Outstanding Teacher, Mindy Summers.
We'll just add a note quickly as we get ready to do our Teachers of the Year. Just a couple of years ago, Mindy was our Teacher of the Year for our entire corporation and recognized at the state level. And recently she's been on a little bit of a celebration tour. She was recognized in front of her staff at Central Middle School, as well as at a chamber luncheon where we also recognized her for her great accomplishments. So congratulations again, Mindy Summers.
So I would like to say that I'm going to echo what Mr. Clark said. This time of year and our board meetings are my favorite ones to date because these next few, we are celebrating amazing students and educators that do so much for us. So we're going to recognize the 2023-24 Teacher of the Year winners in a bit. We're getting ready to show a video in a minute. But I do want to say all winners before you leave, or as you leave, if you'll go outside, we have the BCSC banner. Mr. Burnett would like to take pictures of everyone, including the students, before they leave today. But I can say that this year, the community doesn't surprise me, yet it's amazing the support that we have in our community. We had 570 nominations for Teacher of the Year in our school corporation, and that is, every year I say, this is the record to date. So at this point, this is the record to date, 570 nominations. Before I call them up and announce them, Mr. Burnett created a video so we can help celebrate. Thank you, Mr. Burnett, for the video. And just to let you know, these teachers that have been selected exemplify the great teaching that goes on each and every day for our students. They come to work dedicated, and there's no greater impact on student learning than the quality of the teacher. And they all embrace the love, the care, the support, and the knowledge to help prepare our students for the next steps in their education. So it is an honor, and I can tell you I do get excited when I finally see the winners. I love seeing all the nominations, but when the winners, I'm like, oh, they're great, they're great, they're great. So this whole list, it's exceptional teachers that help make BCSC the choice. So at this time, I'm going to call them up individually. They're teachers. We're going to line up, and around here until we acknowledge everyone. I'm going to name the school, the teacher, and the subject that they teach. So let's get this started. Clifty Creek Elementary, Suzanne Dean, 5th grade. CSA Fadria, Deepika Kapoor, 5th grade. Okay. CSA Lincoln, Stephen Shipley, 6th grade. Mount Healthy Elementary, Emily Harris, 4th grade. Parkside Elementary, Scott Rayburn, 5th grade. Richards Elementary, Aaron Lucas, Life Skills. Rock Creek Elementary, Casey Ellsbury, Kindergarten. Schmidt Elementary, Kathy Deniston, 5th grade. Smith Elementary, Cindy Larson, 5th grade. Southside Elementary, Caroline Arbuckle, Kindergarten. Taylorsville Elementary, Jenny Mead, 2nd grade. Central Middle School, Sarah Rapp, Science. Northside Middle School, Crystal Stewart, English Language Arts. Columbus East High School, Derek Chastain, Science. Columbus North High School, Brett White, Math. CSA New Tech High School, Jen Morrill, Pupil Services. C4, Derek Grotz, Welding. Pre-K, Early Childhood, Ebony Okalei Ash, Early Childhood. And the Administration Building, Gail Kors, Elementary Curriculum Specialist. So looking at these individuals, the examples again are the ones who come before our students each and every day to serve. There's probably some familiar faces and probably not any surprises here because they do a remarkable job. So on behalf of BCSC, teachers, thank you for the amazing work you do and continue to show up each day and provide our students with an excellent education. Thank you. One round of applause. Let's go shake hands.
Okay, we're going to move to our top 10 recognition. We have a couple of videos to play for our top 10s. We will start with Columbus East, and then students, what we're going to do is after we run the video for East, we will bring up the 10 East students and just come through and shake hands. And then the same thing with our North students. After we do the North video, we'll bring our North students up as well. So we'll start with Columbus East.
My name is Kyron Scott, and my parents are Nicole and Michael. I plan to go to Indiana University and get a degree in either computer science or law. My favorite BCSC teacher is probably Mrs. Hambling, but I have to say something about Mr. Ward and Mrs. Thompson because they've been great with C4. And I think my favorite BCSC memory is probably memories I've made at marching band, especially performing in the Bands of America finals.
Hi, my name is Malia Hubbard, daughter of Heather Hubbard. After high school, I plan to attend Indiana University Columbus to study business and minor in finance and accounting. My favorite BCSC teacher is Mr. Shipley because he really cared to help students find their true passion. And my favorite BCSC memory is all of the knowledge that I've acquired and all of the people that I've got to meet along the way.
Hello, my name is Jamie Porter. My parents are James and Karen Porter. I plan on attending Indiana University Bloomington to study business management. My favorite teacher is Mr. Walls, and my favorite high school memory was running cross country with my friends.
My name is Carly Oddie, and my parents are Paul and Joan Oddie, and I plan to attend Ball State University in the fall to study elementary education. And my favorite BCSC teacher is Miss Vanderburg, and my favorite BCSC memory is helping run the C4 preschool at Moore.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Stetter. My parents are John and Julia Stetter. In the fall, I will be attending Purdue University to study nursing. My favorite BCSC teacher is Mrs. Steinwettle, the C4 biomed teacher. And my favorite BCSC memory is cheering at the East-North football games.
I'm Ben Blands. My parents are Mike and Christy. I'm attending Trine University and playing college hockey. And my favorite BCSC teacher is Mrs. Hambling. And my favorite BCSC memory is the physics projects in that class.
Hi, my name is Janelle Villalobos, and I'm the daughter of Marisa Villalobos. My plans after graduation is to attend Purdue's College of Agriculture for their animal sciences major with a concentration in pre-vet to begin my journey towards veterinary school. My favorite BCSC teacher is Miss Buckler due to her work ethic and love for education, and my favorite BCSC memory is the day of my senior project, Knowledgepalooza. I enjoyed interacting with people's pets and seeing everyone united for a great cause.
I'm Riley Posey, daughter of Mike and Jerry Posey. After graduation, I'll be attending the University of South Florida to major in biomedical sciences on the pre-anesthesiologist assistant track. My favorite teacher is Mr. Lynott, and my favorite BCSC memory was cheering at the rivalry East-North games.
My name is Erin Walters. My parents are Brian and Kim Walters. After high school, I plan to go to Indiana State University to pursue a career in criminology and psychology. My favorite BCSC teacher is probably got to be Mr. Chastain. And my favorite BCSC memory is definitely playing and attending the Northeast soccer games. They were just such a blast, and the rivalry was really fun.
My name's Greta Hemmerlein. I'm the daughter of Rodney and April Hemmerlein. In the fall, I plan to attend Purdue University to study chemical engineering and hopefully ride on their Western equestrian team. My favorite BCSC teacher is Mrs. Hambling, along with all the science department. My favorite BCSC memory is going to all the sporting events with my friends.
Congratulations, Columbus East Top 10. We can have you now come forward. Okay, we'll now move on to our Columbus North top 10.
Hi, my name is Ajay Singh Reddy. My parents are Ashok and Malika Singh Reddy. After high school, I plan on going to Yale University to major in ethics, politics, and economics. And my favorite BCSC teacher is Mr. Spock, and my favorite BCSC memory is going to debate competitions.
My name is Caitlin White. My parents are Brett and Allison White. Next year, I plan to attend either the University of Indianapolis or Ball State to study nursing. My favorite BCSC teacher is Mrs. Steinwedel, and my favorite memory is going to and participating in Northversity Games.
Hi, my name is Keegan Harris. My parents are Todd and Kristen Harris. I plan on studying computer science at Purdue University. My favorite teacher is Dr. Hackner. My favorite BCSC memory is the robotics competition at East.
My name is Kingan Burbrink. My parents are Joel and Rebecca Burbrink. I plan on going to Purdue University Indianapolis for engineering. My favorite BCSC teacher is Mr. Burton, and my favorite BCSC memory is performing an American Pie.
Hi, my name is Kenzie Pendleton. My parents are Tyler and Elise Pendleton. This fall, I plan to attend Brigham Young University to study exercise science and athletic training. One of my favorite BCSC teachers is Mr. Spencer, and one of my favorite BCSC memories is winning state for cross country.
I'm Alexander Cognata. My parents are Angela Cognata and Jimmy Cognata. I plan on attending a 4-year university at an undecided location to study either business or chemical engineering. My favorite BCSC teacher would probably be Mr. Hagner here at North. He's the physics teacher here, and he taught me AP Physics 1 last year, and I'm learning AP Physics C Mechanics with him right now. He's one of the smartest guys I've ever met. He's really nice, and he's really good at what he does, and you can tell he really loves teaching and physics. My favorite memory my favorite BCSC memory here would probably have to be just 10th grade English as a whole. I met a lot of my friends in that class who I'm really close with today, and there were a lot of people in there. Like I remember at least like 6 of my really close friends now are in that class, and we had, her name was Miss Rhodes at the time. It's now Mrs. Prentice because she got married, but it was just fun. We always were up to some fun shenanigans in there and just had a whole blast.
My name is Frankie Poliak. My parents are Frank and Nicole Poliak. And next year I will be attending either Duke University or the University of Chicago to study history. My favorite teacher is Mr. Russell. My favorite BCSC memory was when Mr. Russell took us into an underground basement area in the school to simulate a Cold War bunker and kind of show us different pieces of propaganda from the Cold War and during the communist scare as well.
Hi, my name is Austin Clark. My parents are Allison Clark and Brian Clark. I plan on attending Butler University to study accounting, and my favorite BCSC teacher is Mrs. Pyatt from Southside. And my favorite BCSC memory is participating in my sophomore year musical, Nice Work If You Can Get It.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Meyer. My parents are Aaron and Chris Meyer, and after high school, I plan on attending Indiana University to study biochemistry. One of my favorite BCSC teachers is Mrs. Steinwedel, and my favorite BCSC memory is winning cross-country state.
Hi, my name is Alex Osborne. My parents are Kathy and Andy Osborne. Next year, I'll be going to Purdue to major in plant science. My favorite BCSC teacher is Mrs. McCarver, and my favorite BCSC memory is going to San Francisco for journalism.
Congratulations to our top 10 from Columbus North. If I could have you come forward, please. Students, as you leave, I believe Mr. Burnett is looking to get pictures right outside, so if you could just gather out in the hallway area. Thank you.
Hey, while people are funneling out, I just want to point out a couple of statistics that I keep track of every year when we do this. Purdue won, by the way. Purdue won.
A lot of science people there.
6-4, Purdue versus IU. First year, we haven't done that. And the boys were representing.
Yes.
The boys were representing this year. Last year we only had 2 out of 20. We had 8 out of 20. So.
Yep.
Nice work. School board member reports. That was my school board member report. Okay, Mr. Nellen.
The Council for Youth Development met on April 10th, and I'd like to highlight one thing, the Youth Empowerment Summit, which will be this Friday at Columbus Learning Center. Chad Russell, who was mentioned by at least one of the students there, Columbus North social studies teacher, will be the keynote speaker, and the students will rotate through a series of workshops. The topics and presenters were planned by the student leaders, and the summit, it has slots for 100 participants, 160 students applied, so I think that's a sign of success. They are currently taking applications for student leaders called Youth Ambassadors for next year, and it's a really, I think, a powerful process. The school counselors and others work with CYD to identify students with leadership potential who don't see themselves as functioning in leadership roles. So they build leadership potential for our community's future.
Nothing out of my committees. I believe CICC's next meeting's in May.
Thank you. I'll just give a quick update on our superintendent search process. We did hold our public hearing just prior to this meeting at 5 o'clock regarding the contract. There were actually no members of the public in attendance, so it was fairly short. And then our next meeting on April 29th is where we will vote on that topic. Mr. Stenner?
Mr. Grimes couldn't be here this evening, but asked me to mention a couple of things on his behalf. The foundation, one of the biggest fundraisers they do every year is called the Good, Better, Best 5K. It'll be Saturday, April 27th. It'll be held at Southside Elementary. People are signing up already, and if you're interested in that 5K, Mr. Grimes tells me that the website is indianatiming.com. So you can search it by location or date, April 27th. Funds raised at that event go to support the Grimes-Wallace out-of-the-box recognition for teachers awarded every year. At 8:15 that morning, this year's winners of the Grimes-Wallace out-of-the-box award will be recognized at the walk. This year's winners, Mr. Grimes tells me, so I'm pretty sure this is not a secret, Kriya Hill from Rock Creek and Krista Bartosh from Smith. It's the first time in the history of out-of-the-box awards that 2 have been awarded. I also have 2 committee reports. Districting and Facilities Committee has done a ton of work. Much thanks to Dr. Bozeman for coordinating that work in the last month. Both architect selection and then construction management selection activities have occurred over the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and Mr. Bozeman will be covering those later in the meeting. I will leave my portion of it to be a time to thank all of the board members, teachers, school staff, parents, even students that were involved in the processes. I'm sure that their attention and efforts at making good decisions will lead us to a good direction moving forward. So we thank all those who contributed to the success of the selection processes. The Business Advisory Group met on a Friday morning. Mr. Edwards and Mr. Hack gave us a presentation. The C4 Career Fair, Career Week, had recently wrapped up. There were videos on the YouTube page. Some amazing things went on that week. Monday's focus was on careers in public safety. Tuesday, there was a focus on careers in healthcare. Wednesday all day was a focus on manufacturing. Thursday on transportation, and Friday building trades. Participating this year were more than 50 employers and community partners, generously sharing their time to support students. There were engaging activities, fun, and a lot of learning about potential careers. So every time the Business Advisory Group thought the presentation was coming to a close, either Mr. Edwards or Mr. Hack would remember another aspect of the work that they had forgotten to highlight. I think they could have gone on all day. So I'd recommend going to the YouTube site, checking out those videos. C4 is doing some amazing work, and we appreciate Mr. Hack and all the members of the Business Advisory Group who helped direct that. Thank you.
Nothing new from the Health Trust, and Redevelopment Committee met earlier today. They were talking a little bit about a new process to design, build, operate, transfer that the state has for public buildings. And then they also talked a little bit, I had to leave early, but they were going to talk about the downtown entrance plaza. They're going to renovate that area and make it more welcoming, more, I guess, modern for the times. So that will be a project that they're going to have ongoing in the future. But there's limited to talk about with that right now, so thank you.
Okay, we're on to cabinet reports. Dr. Phillips and Dr. Bozeman.
Good evening. I do my best thinking in the morning, and the first thought I had this morning was that the board meeting is here tonight, and we never took care of those blinds that were needed up there, and about this time, I was thinking, what time did that sun usually come through? And it is apparently at 7:13 p.m.
We can't really see your face, it's okay.
That's okay, yeah. If you just look down or elsewhere, I will not be offended by that. So, good evening, thank you for the opportunity. The Envision 2030 update is a staple item that we have for each of our meetings. Sometimes we have more content to share, sometimes we have less. Tonight is a night that we have quite a bit in your packets to approve, and just a few slides to go over in synopsis. So what you have for action this evening are items listed on your screen. Permission to bid phase 1 of the Johnson work. As a reminder, that is an effort to move Bright Beginnings from McDowell over to the Early Learning Center at Johnson. Just 4 classrooms of work in that first phase. An approval for GMP, guarantee maximum price for the Schmidt renovation. We opened bids on that. They were a little bit higher than expected. So we are just awarding 9 of the 11 bid categories for now. Basically, the 2 bid categories that we will reconsider at another time would be site and concrete work outside of the building and the parking lot. Selection for construction managers as constructors for the majority of the Envision 1 Phase 1 projects. Those are summarized in 3 packages, and I'll speak to that here in just a bit. And then finally, and excitedly, our recommendation for the selection of a design architect for the new elementary school. This remains unchanged, but just as a reminder of where we are with the projects and the timeline of those Phase 1 projects within Envision 2030, Schmidt and Parkside being the exception outside of the projects, but their timeline is listed there for your reference. The construction manager as constructor recommendation that we're bringing to you this evening, we were fortunate to have 10 construction firms submit proposals for each of our packages within this first phase of the Envision 2030 work. The 5 listed are the 5 firms that our team interviewed. Mr. Stenner mentioned that process a little bit. We had 6 members of that selection committee, Mr. Stenner being one. And he is accurate. We spent quite a bit of time vetting these folks, interviewing, really reviewing piles of material that they have submitted. All 10 firms were very reputable. We were very pleased with the 10. But the ones highlighted, are the ones that we're bringing to you for recommendation for approval this evening. So Project 1, Northside North, we recommend to award Meyer & Agem. Meyer & Agem is a firm that we have not yet worked with, but they have done many similar scale and size projects across the state, most recently in Brownsburg, Lebanon, Zionsville, and a few other districts. And their recommendations from those districts and others were exemplary. Project 2, Smith and East package, just as a reminder, that's full renovation to North Side and just a little bit of work at North High School relative to C4. Same for Smith. Our recommendation is to award that to Maxwell Construction. Maxwell Construction is a firm that you're familiar with. They're currently our construction manager on the Parkside and Schmidt projects. We've had a very good experience with them. And then on the new elementary, which is a project by itself, we're recommending Taylor Brothers and Pepper. Taylor Brothers and Pepper have joined together as the construction manager, as constructor for that. There are a lot of benefits to BCSC and to the community with that partnership. So our recommendation is to award that CM contract for the new elementary on Project 3 for Taylor Brothers and Pepper Construction. And also, just as a reminder, there's a lot to consider in that decision and that recommendation, as I mentioned. We are not subject to just low bidders, which is good for us and other districts. It is an important factor, but it is not we are not tied to just selecting the low bid on those. You're familiar with our process and our time that we've spent recently in searching for, interviewing, vetting, and selecting a design architect for the new elementary school. We're fortunate to have the partnership of the Cummins Architectural Foundation that provided us 4 very qualified firms. We invited those 4 firms to submit RFPs. You can see the timeline listed there. Jim Funk from CSO and I met with them on site and toured Parkside the week of February 26th, spent about a half day with each of them. They submitted their proposals in written format, and they were about 40 or so pages long. Each of our 16 committee members were provided those written responses, had the ability to provide some feedback and scoring. You're also familiar that those 4 firms presented over the course of 2 nights at the Westside Community Church the week of March 25th. And our team met on April 4th and went through a structured protocol to help come up with a recommendation for the board to approve. It's a photo of some very qualified folks sitting around the table and having some interesting conversations. And from that, we had a few follow-up questions that a handful of us, 6 folks or so, had some follow-up Zooms with 2 firms and asked them some additional questions. That's the list of the committee members that had served. Mr. Stenner said we have a combination of teachers, representation from CSO there. We have parents. We have community members. There's a student listed there. And some BCSC administrators, and then Mr. Stenner and Mr. Nallen from the board as representatives. Our recommendation is to award the design architect for the new elementary school to Howler and Yoon from Boston, Massachusetts. In order of presentation, they were the 3rd that presented on those nights. That seemed to resonate with folks. When our committee had gone through our structured protocol to make the selection, the criteria that they had used and come up with, and as they scored these different firms, terms such as collaborator, synthesizer, the firm's ability to be flexible, innovative, and I mentioned this to Eric when I called and offered him this position, to where he was very excited and was quite speechless for a moment, but I said, Eric, when you had given your presentation at the church and you opened with speaking about designing a school through the eyes of a child, it really resonated with folks. It really got people excited. So So I'm happy with the committee's recommendation, feel confident in the process, feel confident that Mejan, Yoon on the left here and Eric Howler on the right and their firm out of Boston will do a fantastic job working well with BCSC and CSO to design an elementary school on the west side of town that serves this community for 50 years plus. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the team? No questions? Okay. Thank you, Dr.
Just
Bozeman.
remind board members that with the information that Dr. Bozeman just shared, those items are to be voted on here in just a little bit.
Dr. Phillips.
Good evening. I have for you tonight the Q1 financial report, and overall, generally as we expect at this point in time from both a revenues and expenditures perspective. This slide will be one that is not usually in our quarterly update. The DLGF released their spreadsheet that has all the school districts' tax rate, tax levy, and all that information. And for the last several years, I have put that into a chart just to bring everyone up to date with where we stand compared to other school districts across the state and comparison groups. And so last time I showed you this, it just had 23, and now it has 2024 added on there for all the other comparison districts. So this is our 4th year in a row of having a very slight decline in our own tax rate. But it's interesting to look at the other comparison groups that we use, both the Indiana average as well as districts around us and districts with like assessed values and like budgets. They seem to be concentrating. If you look at them at the wide variation in the decade leading up to 2020, they're pretty wide variation, and they just seem to be getting closer and closer to one another as there's probably a good reason for that. But it does seem like it's a much more predictable process over the last 5 years or so. I could almost tell you what our tax rate is going to be the day we put the budget up for our first hearing, and so it's a much more predictable process than it used to be. From a revenues perspective, on the education fund side, revenues are up about 8% over last year, and most of this increase is because of that continued higher interest rates, and so we continue to collect more interest earned than what we usually budget for. But I consider those to be artificial inflations because there's no guarantee that that rate will stay where it is in the future. We also had just a timing issue with some C4 member districts contributing their money in January instead of December. So there's a little increase there that would have come in last year. And there are no significant revenues for property tax supported funds until after we start collecting the spring payments in May and June. This is the education fund expenditures chart that I always show, and salaries and benefits from the education fund are up 10% over 2023. Excuse me. That made it worse instead of better. And this is a result of the collective bargaining agreement that was passed, last fall. In addition to the addition of administrators at the high school for the cohort model, and honestly continued success in filling positions. We just continue to have fewer and fewer unfilled openings as we go forward, which is obviously a victory. As I shared back in the fall, and to continue to remind you that we will need an additional appropriation in calendar year 2024 just to pay for the raises that were approved in 2023 as a result of the collective bargaining agreement and raises for all groups. Thank you, Dr. Pleak. And so we'll probably wait till the fall for that additional appropriation request. On the all the other expenditures in the education fund, which is our very small percentage of the education fund budget, are as expected and consistent with previous years. On the operations fund side, expenditures are as would be expected. Little increase over there on the other category, and that is almost entirely due to the property and liability insurance contribution that we pay from the operations fund. That came in the second quarter of last year and came in the first quarter last year. But I will mention that that continues to increase as we see more and more catastrophic events happen, not only across the country, but across the world. Unfortunately, just like when I watch a football game and I see prescription drug commercials, all I can think of is how much that costs. On the news, when I see catastrophes, I think about how much our property and liability insurance is going to go up. And people, I think about people in both those cases too. On the operating referendum fund side, all expenditures are consistent with previous years and with budget as would be expected. I'll just point out each quarter, we like to point out the impact of that operating referendum. In the first quarter of 2024, that resulted in about $1.8 million in additional employee salaries for all qualifying teachers and all classified staff members. It's about 540 teachers out of our 760 or so, and about 1,100 classified staff members benefited from that operating referendum. And then last, on the fund cash balances, all balances with the exception of debt service are up from the prior year. Those are as would be expected. Of course, higher revenues are driving that up. But I also expect, as we go through the course of this year, that to be drawn down just a little bit as the salaries and benefits continue to draw forward. The health and dental balances are continuing a positive trend of increasing, but I will note that our medical claims through the first quarter of this year are actually down from prior years, but prescription claims are way up from prior years. I think that's consistent with probably what most employers are seeing with the advent of some new very expensive medications. And then just remind you that the debt service fund will continue to decline slightly as we retire old debt and add new debt to replace with a change in the state law regarding how much we can carry in cash balances in that fund. Happy to answer any questions you have about the budget through the first quarter.
Questions? No?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Phillips. Okay, we will move on to the public comment section of our agenda. However, there is no one signed up currently for public comments, so we will move past that on to requests for approval. Dr. Roberts.
Okay, I have two items for approval under old business, although one of the items has quite a few meetings you all had over the last month or so. So asking for approval for the minutes of the executive session of March 3rd, the regular school board meeting on March 4th, the executive session on March 18th, the executive session on March 19th, the executive session on March 23rd, and the executive session of March 28th. Additionally, asking for approval of policy 5380, a revision we talked about at our last meeting, which was some time ago, but it was bringing, in this case, policy in line with practice because Indiana statute had changed. We had not made a revision to our particular fundraising policy. In this particular case, the change was to make sure that students, even those under 18 years of age, may sell tickets or chances for a raffle. State law changed a few years ago to allow that to be the case. We did have a comment about making sure that any fundraiser involving games of chance must comply with Indiana law, including obtaining the appropriate license or permits. After we've added this under 18 piece with students, we added that sentence again on your recommendation at the last meeting. So that was the change from the last meeting and asking for that approval as well.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts. Do you have a motion from the board?
I move that we approve motions 3A and B as presented.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Nellen. I have a motion to approve items A and B, items 3A and B. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Say nay. Nope. Okay. Motion approved.
Thank you. The next is approval for new business, and we have 10 items under new business this evening, including all of the ones from Dr. Bozeman from before. So we have a list of supplemental contracts in your packet, field trips and professional leaves, school fundraisers, Claims and payroll, the claims for April 15th total about $1.8 million. The pre-runs from February 24th through March 31st equal about $4.8 million, and payroll going from March 8th all the way through the April 5th payroll, a little over $11 million. There's an extra note about just the differences sometimes in those payrolls in terms of what is included in those. Additionally, asking for permission to approve the disposal of laptops and desktops when we move equipment or property away from our building. We have to have proper permission from you all to do that. We are also asking for a memorandum of understanding to be agreed upon with Indiana University Columbus regarding admission of our BCSC students. That particular memorandum would allow our students to be accepted into IUC based upon very specific criteria. So without them having to go through the process of applying, our sharing of information, IUC would accept them, and then of course it's up to the student and the family as whether they actually enroll, pay, do all those kinds of things, but just takes away maybe one step in the process. We have permission to receive bids on Johnson's early education renovations, phase 1, an important part of us moving in the phase 1 of our project. Permission to award a design architect for new elementary school. Permission to award construction manager as constructed for phase 1 of the Envision 2030 projects. There were 3 different ones there for you. And permission to establish a guaranteed maximum price for the Schmidt renovation. So those are the additional 10 new business items I'm asking for approval.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts.
I move that we approve item 4C through L under new business as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant.
Would it be possible for us to separate out J and K, please?
J and K.
So I would make a motion to amend the prior motion to remove J and K and vote separately on those.
Okay. Okay.
So we see through I.
Yep, so C through I and L.
Did you say J and K or I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
J and K.
Yeah, it's J and K.
Okay. Can you say that as one motion so someone can second it?
I don't think it needs to be seconded to
No,
pull.
doesn't it?
Technically, you got to close out the current motion. Right? Yeah. Do you have to close out the current motion because you got a motion and a second?
Doesn't hurt to vote on it.
Right. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, we've done this every other way that we could ever think of. So just strike what I said and just move forward with this.
Okay. 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 Thank you, Mr. McIver. So for those who may not have been able to hear, because we've had a motion and a second, we need to actually conclude that with a vote. And now is the time for us to have discussion as a team on the motion, which was to approve C through L. So is there any discussion on any of those items?
So, yeah, this isn't on J and K, but 2 comments that I wanted to include here. One is recognition and a thank you to Mr. Edwards for his work on the memorandum of understanding. I think that's really a huge benefit for our students down the road. And the second, I don't usually call out field trips, but I thought it's really cool that East is applying to take kids to Washington, D.C. next year that didn't get to do their 8th grade trip because of COVID.
That was awesome.
That'll make national news.
Very good. Are there any other questions or comments on C through L?
Now, just so everybody understands, to be consistent with what I've stated in the past, based on the data that was shared with us back in November showing a reduction in students between 2021 and 2031, anytime we have discussion about approvals for anything for a new elementary school, I will vote no, because I don't believe when we're projecting a reduction in students over the next 10 years that we need to be building capacity. It's not useful expenditure of tax money.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Major. Okay, so I have a motion and a second to approve 4, C through L. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion passes 6-1. Dr. Pleak?
I request approval of the 38 recommendations as presented in your packet this evening, which consist of 6 retirements, 15 resignations, 13 appointments, and 4 leaves.
You've been busy, Dr. Pleak. Is this the season for retirements? Anything to be concerned with here?
This is the time for all this to start.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Do I have a motion from the board?
I move that we approve item 5, human resources recommendations as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Nellum. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. All those in favor of approving human resource recommendations item 5, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7.
Thank you.
We have nothing from the additional, right?
No additional.
Okay. Board input and review. I will start with Mr. Bryant, please.
I really don't have a whole lot, but I would like to thank Dr. Bozeman and also Central Middle School for letting the library use their facility and their field. It was great. Unfortunately, I had to call Dr. Bozeman that morning, but we worked everything out and it was really great. We had anywhere between 8 to 1,000 people out there.
Wow.
So thank you, Dr. Bozeman.
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate all the Teacher of the Year award winners in the top 10 for both Columbus East and Columbus North. To the teachers, I want to thank them all for the support they provided to our students. And to the students, congratulations to all the hard work paying off. Best of luck in your future endeavors. Funny enough, Jamie, Riley, Caitlin, and Malia all are friends of my daughter's. So she's a senior as well, which is kind of cool. I saw my daughter actually in Mr. Chastain's video, so that's awesome, especially considering that she talks about him quite a bit as being her favorite teacher. I did get to spend a few minutes with him earlier and just express my thanks to him for her saying that. So when your kid comes home and talks about a teacher being a good teacher and it just so happens they're winning Teacher of the Year, it kind of really resonates and hits home. So special thank you to Mr. Chastain as well.
I'll do a shout out for Miss Summers as the Edna Folger Award winner. When I worked at the Chamber, that was one of the highlights of the year because it would always be a secret. The teacher would be invited to sit at the table with some other BCSC teachers. They had no idea. Then their family members would show up by the exit door just as the speeches were starting. It was a wonderful event. So congratulations to Mrs. Summers. And then I'd echo my colleagues' comments about what an amazing evening this is to recognize folks for their excellence, their hard work. Mr. Grimes wanted me to let everybody know that he hates missing any board meeting at all. But he was especially upset to be missing this one because there's so many well-deserving and dedicated students and teachers being recognized. He did want to congratulate them all, and he wanted me to explain briefly that he is on, probably right now, an evening tour of memorials in Washington, D.C. with students from his school. So that's the report from Mr. Stenner and Mr. Grimes.
Could I add something just real quick?
Of course.
Because otherwise I will forget. I want to just highlight something Mr. Major said in terms of saying something to a teacher that means something. Because I'm not sure really any of us here too often, maybe the impact we've had on other people. So making sure that they know that. So his going to Mr. Chastain and verbalizing that. Because I wonder for each of us if our favorite teacher knows that they were our favorite teacher. And if not, let's take an opportunity maybe here at the end of the year to do that, no matter how old we are, is to look that person up and see if we can let them know that that was actually the case for us as we were maturing and developing as well. So I appreciate that comment.
Thank you. On that same vein, maybe some people don't know, April 23rd is National Bus Driver Appreciation Day. So that is between now and our next school board meeting. I wanted to highlight that. We have approximately 110 amazing bus drivers that get our kids to school and home safely every day. It is not an easy job, I can't imagine. And so if you could please take a moment on that day, parents, to appreciate bus drivers. A few options for you. You can write a nice thank you note. If you're good at social media, I am not, but if you are, hashtag thank you bus drivers is apparently what will be used on that day. You can give them a special treat or snack, or I would also venture to guess just walking up to the bus when you put your kid on in the morning and saying thank you would probably go a really long way. So April 23rd. That's all.
Thanks for the reminder. Ms. Pat, who puts up with the Schultz children every day, will get that reminder now, and I appreciate it. Some recognitions. I want to recognize the food service team, facilities team, Miss Day at Schmidt, and Sherry for helping us put together the superintendent search. There was a lot of last-minute drills just trying to get everything together, and I appreciate the efforts. I think it was great, and it showed what we can do in a short amount of time. I want to echo the congratulations to the teachers and students. Miss Mead was a teacher at Taylorsville when I was there, and so nice to see old faces as well. Dr. Bozeman and Dr. Phillips for hosting the architecture meetings and their presentations, and my students, or my children, getting to see pictures of the students at the new elementary school. They had a lot of questions. All wanted to know what it was going to look like, and I was like, time will tell, and we'll see. And then the last thing was just kind of a call, and I know I've talked with Dr. Roberts and Ms. London on CEA about how are we going to address SB1, and I think that's something that hopefully we'll be able to look through the CICC committee to see what do we need to do differently to make sure our children are ready to move on and not be retained under this new law. So that's the only other call out that I had. Appreciate it.
So I think, like everyone else, this is my favorite meeting of the year. When I think about what schools do, it's really getting teachers and students to interact with each other in ways that help students move forward. And we get to celebrate both tonight, so I appreciate that. And actually, to echo what Dr. Roberts said, so when I retired from teaching, I didn't take a whole lot of stuff home, but I did take home notes that I got from kids over the years. So I would echo what he said. Let a teacher know what they meant to you. And we had a lot of recognitions tonight, but I have one more to add. I'd like to offer commendations to the Columbus North Indiana Math League team, who finished in second place in the statewide contest. 6 of the top 20 finishers in the state were from Columbus North. Michael Crossman was second, Grace Huang was 6th, Nevin Justin was 9th, Ishan Jasuja, sorry Ishan, was 14th, and Adrian Perez and Janine Wong tied for 17th. There were 4 other students that missed the top 20 just by 1 or 2 points, so they had an outstanding finish there. And also, just thank you to Columbus North and the custodial staff here, because I know that it's not easy to set up for all of this and then tear down. When we go home, they still have to turn it back into a cafeteria.
So our next board meeting is here on April 29th at 6:30 p.m. With that,
I would just add before you gavel out is that we are working to schedule a reception for that evening too, since we are looking to approve, or at least vote on, the superintendent selection recommendation. So we are trying to set that up. We will communicate that publicly.
okay. Thank you, Dr. Roberts. With that, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.